But as you see, Albo is trying to keep the details off the public's agenda, because if he tells you the numbers, well then they're going to be in a world of trouble. So he's putting it off for as late as possible and after anyone's able to put an ad on television or radio. Thankfully, the press pack, they're not falling for this garbage. They're not there for the coronation, for the week-long victory lap. They are there to put the heat on the bloke who, according to some, is the inevitable next Prime Minister. I disagree.
Higher or lower than the $2.3 billion that the Liberal Party has outlined?
Our costings will be out on Thursday.
Can you be fair income with us and confirm that your deficits over 4 years that you'll unveil on Thursday will be higher?
We'll unveil our plans on Thursday.
Do you think it's fair for voters to go to the polls with less than 48 hours knowing what your detailed costings are just because that's the way it's always been done?
It is the way that it has always been done. We can do without the interjections. What you do is you get to ask a question and then I get to answer it. In 2010, well, if you want to talk to each other, you can, or we can have a process whereby you ask a question and then I get to answer. You've asked your question. You finished? When you've finished, I'll answer it. What we will do is outline all of our costings. All of our costings will be outlined on Thursday.
You've been asked this morning about deficits higher or lower. I haven't answered it. You've been asked about a treaty.
You haven't answered that one either.
Sign it. Aren't you doing exactly what you accused the Prime Minister of, and that is not being transparent?
Not at all. Don't want to disappoint you. Last one.
Question.
Interestingly, by the way, the Albanese campaign today tried to buy off the reporter from Channel 9 with a bit of access, promising him, and I think he got today, a one-on-one interview. Well done to Jonathan Kersley for not falling for that trick and looking for him in the eye in the press conference. And as you've heard, the bloke needed a hard hat because he was running away from the incoming, and even Mark McGowan realised at that moment this bloke is not up to it.
Thanks very much, and now Mark's going to talk.
Thanks very much. Any questions for me?
Let's go. Mr Albanese, will your deficit be higher or lower than the current?
I'm sorry, Albo. Yeah, I know. I'll just wait till this madness finishes. Yeah.
It's honestly about that. Isn't there a problem with transparency? We're following you for answers, Mr Albanese, and you're now just not giving them. You have to answer eventually.
Well, you've just been watching a very frustrated press pack there. You saw the opposition leader, Anthony Albanese, getting very tetchy with reporters after a long 5.5 weeks on the campaign trail. The WA Premier, Mark McGowan, left there as a lot of the press pack chased Anthony Albanese out of the building.
They're all fleeing.
I am fleeing. I'm trapped.
Right, okay.
Can you take your microphone?
Mad. Yeah.
A little bit awkward there as the WA Premier realises that the federal press pack have left. They've gone with Anthony Albanese.
But while the media is trying to look the alternative Prime Minister in the eye, the media that you pay for, whether you watch it or not, is doing its best to go all in against the current Prime Minister. Here was spooky music and all the way that they set up an interview last night on Channel 2 on the 7:30 report.
What if Australians have needed from me going through this pandemic has been strength and resilience. Now, I admit that hasn't enabled Australians to see a lot of other gears in the way I work. I know Australians know that I can be a bit of a bulldozer when it comes to issues, and I suspect you guys know that too.
So objective, right? Now compare each way Albo, who runs away from the human shield that is Mark McGowan, to the Prime Minister who looks Leigh Sales right in the eye and throws facts back at spin.
But what if the housing market tanks?
That's why this policy is
We know the housing market's over. What if the housing market tanks? We know the housing market, for example, is a bubble at the moment. What if it tanks?
Leigh, what you're suggesting is owning your own home is a gamble Australians shouldn't take. I don't agree with that. I heard Penny Wong say that today. Owning your home is the most significant asset for most Australians that they will ever own. I know it's the case for Jenny and I. And I believe buying a home is the best economic decision that you can make. And it's the strongest thing you can do for families and communities.
Let me read you a quote from Anthony Albanese. They always react too little, too late, whether it's the bushfire crisis, whether it's responding to victims of floods, or whether it's ordering enough vaccines. Those three examples are indisputable, aren't they?
They're the comments of an armchair critic who only ever had to say anything about something that had happened after it happened.
He's an armchair critic, sure. He's the opposition leader. But, Prime Minister, those three examples, the government was late to respond on all of them.
My point is, it's easy to make criticisms, Leigh, in the middle of a pandemic after the event. But when you're there taking the country through all of that and the decisions that have to be made every single day, when you step back and you look at what Australians have been able to achieve over these last 2 years, I think fair-minded people will see that Australia is compared very well to other countries. And it didn't happen by accident. We did it all together.
Compare the pair, as the union super funds love to tell us all day, every day, with our money.